Hello, everybody. It's me, Mr. Marks, and I'm here with you on one of my favorite days, May 4th, or as I like to call it, Star Wars Day, because may the 4th be with you. So today, for Star Wars Day, we are going to learn how to make our own BB-8. As you can see right here behind me, I've already created an example, and we're going to make another one altogether. And so all you're going to need to do this is a piece of paper. I'm using a big piece of paper. If you have a smaller piece of paper, that's fine too. You might have to change a few things, but you can figure that out. And we're going to use two different paper plates. So you just need two paper plates. If you don't have paper plates, we're just going to draw circles, so that's okay too. So don't worry too much. BB-8 is not a super complicated robot. He's a ball with a little head on top, and I think he's adorable, and so we're going to learn how to draw him and make him today. So our first paper plate is just going to be his body. We don't have to cut it. We don't have to do anything. What we're going to do is we're going to glue it right on that way, and we're going to glue it so the part that sticks out away from our paper. So when we glue it, we're going to just glue on the edges, so you'll see, but we're not going to do that yet. Our other paper plate, we're actually going to cut in half, and we have to make that the head of BB-8. You can see how it's a semicircle, it's a half circle, and so we're going to cut that. And so those of you at home, make sure if you are using scissors that you are have parent supervision, that you are not cutting anything without someone, an adult, helping you on any accidents. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to take my paper plate and I'm just going to cut it right in half. It's okay if it's not perfectly in half. Just cut it in half as best you can. Okay, now right now, the head's going to be a little bit too big. You can see his head's a little bit smaller than that. So what we're going to do is, wherever that part that raises up right here, we're just going to cut right along there, okay? So go ahead, you guys can follow me. I'm just going to cut right along all of this part right here to give him kind of a smaller head. Just like that. That's all we need. We're done with our scissors, and we have the main part of BB-8. He's ready to go. Okay, now before we do that, we have to get our background ready. You can see on this one, I have the desert of Jakku. That's where BB-8 was at the beginning of The Force Awakens, and I have the blue sky, and I even put some TIE fighters up there too. So we're going to use, I'm just going to use crayons. You can use whatever you want, whatever you have available. I like using crayons because I can color them on the side, and I can get a bunch of my background colored really fast. So I have some oranges and some yellows and sand desert colors. I'm going to start with this kind of teal that I have. I'm using Violet's colors, so none of them have paper, so I don't know what color this is supposed to be, but it looks teal. So we're going to start with teal, and I'm going to do the sky. And look how I'm using it on the side right here, so I can color a big part of it. I'm going to color all of it right now. Just like that. That's some good sky color right there. And now I'm going to go ahead and take some of these oranges, and I'm going to start doing all of the sand dunes. If you want your BB-8 to be in the jungle or in the forest or in space or on a spaceship, you can make the background look like however you'd like. But I'm just going to do these sand dunes real quick, just like this one. And so I'm going to color in some lines to show the different mountains of sand. And then I'll do a different color for each one. So I'm going to just put a few lines on this. Remember, BB-8 is going to cover over a lot of the stuff in the middle. I'll get a lighter color. I'll get a different orange. And let's finish it off with a yellow at the bottom. Maybe I'll go over the orange parts with my yellow too. So it looks a little bit more like a desert. There we go. It's looking pretty good. I like that. All right, now we're going to get BB-8's body ready. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some glue. If you don't have glue, you can use tape, or you could even have BB-8 just not be on a background. You could just have him be a paper plate BB-8. That's up to you. But if you want to glue him onto a background, I'm going to have my paper plate. Remember, you're going to have it so that the part that sticks out is away from our paper, not this way, like this, because that will make him look round. And I'm going to put glue just on the edges right here. I'm going to do this real carefully. Don't want to put too much glue. Okay. And I'm just going to put that right there in the middle. And hold that down for a few seconds. There we go. And then BB-8's head is going to go just right on top. I'm going to have it kind of lean the other way from my first example. So I'm just going to put some glue just kind of in the middle. You don't have to put it on the edges, because then if you put it all on the edges and push it down, all that glue is going to go everywhere and make a big mess. We don't want to do that. I'm just going to put it just on the side, and I'm going to have his head be kind of tilted a little bit, because in the movies, if you remember, whenever he moves around, his head kind of goes on its own. It can move all the way around his body if he wants to. So there we go. Now, for all of his details, all of these red or these orange and black lines and circles, and these circles here, we have a lot of different ways we can do this. On this example, what I did was I used some construction paper, some black and orange construction paper, and I just cut out all those shapes. Now, I don't know if we might not have all that construction paper at our houses. I know that we have it in the art room at school, but we might not have it at home. So instead of that, if you don't have construction paper, we can just use crayons, we can just use markers, you can use whatever. You could even draw it just with a pencil and not worry too much about color. So in this one, I did it with paper, and I cut out all the pieces of paper and glued them on. In this example, I'm going to just draw it with some pens that I have, some markers. And so you can do it whichever way you like. You can make more than one if you want. I think BB-8 is cool enough to make more than one if you'd like. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to use a black, or any dark color would work. And we're going to use that for his two lenses here. So kind of like his eyes. He's got a big one and a small one. He's got these two black lines that go on the top and bottom of his head. So I'm going to start over here. I'm just going to draw a big circle, kind of right in the middle, and a small one next to it. And then I'm going to draw two lines going across his head up at the top, and two lines that go across on the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and fill those in real quick. Okay, so I finished all the black parts of BB-8. You can see what I did on the lenses here is I left these little circles, kind of one and then another one right below it, and that makes it look like the lenses are shiny. Like the light is reflecting off of it. Makes it look a little bit more realistic. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to an orange, because the rest of him is pretty much just orange parts. And you can see he's got some of these little boxes and lines and stuff like that all around him. And so we're going to start on his head, and then we'll do the orange parts at the bottom. And so I'm going to put these lines that I have underneath him, and then he's got some of these boxes next to it too. Okay, so that's the orange on his head. Now on his body, he's got these 3 circle things, and they have these kind of X, Y shaped thing in the middle. Looks kind of like a keyhole or something like that. And it's orange and gray. And if you don't have a gray marker, you can just use a gray pencil. Pencils are a great gray. And so we're going to start by just drawing these circles. We're going to do it a little differently if we're drawing it. What we're going to do is draw only part of the circle, because the rest of that shape is going to be hidden because the ball is spinning. So we won't be able to see all of it. So let me show you what I mean. Instead of drawing just a full circle right here, we're going to draw a circle like that, so it looks like it's going behind him. And then the other one's going to be down here. And then one more up here. So you can see on this one, I didn't like how I was making it. It was a little too small. So I just made it a little bit bigger, because I'm going to fill most of that in with orange right now. Okay, I've colored in all the orange parts. You can see it's a little bit different than the BB-8 that I had right here. But this one, it looks like all those circles are going around him, so we can't see all of them. Maybe it's a little bit more realistic. Maybe you like this one better. You do whichever one you think is cooler. The last thing we need to do is just add a few details. So you can see he's got some of these gray lines just to show like the different parts of his robot body. And that's where we can use a gray and just draw some lines connecting here. I'm actually just going to follow the circle on the back of this plate. I'm almost tracing it, so that the plate that you use has that. It's pretty easy. And then I'll put some other little lines and dots and things. He also has some gray lines on his head here. There's a line that kind of just goes around here. And you could put another little box somewhere. Just something like that, very simple. And I almost forgot one very important thing, his antenna. I'm going to use my black. I'm just going to draw a little curved line that comes out the top. Make it a little bit thicker. Just a little circle at the end. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my black to add some movement lines, because his body is spinning around, he's going through the sand, so there's a lot of movement. We want to show that by drawing some black lines around him to show what's moving. So his ball is spinning like this, kind of like a wheel. And so I'm going to draw some black movement lines around it, so it looks like it's spinning. And then his head might be shaking, maybe he's running away. His antenna's probably bouncing around. And the last thing I can do is draw some sand and dust getting kicked up as he spins around. Now he looks like he's moving, just like in the movie. All right, awesome, guys. I hope you guys follow along. I hope you guys make some awesome BB-8s. Have a wonderful Star Wars day and stay safe.